Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this first day of July, actually. Welcome to the future, baby, for all of you living in the Western Hemisphere over there. And there is actually plenty to talk about on the macro time frame. So I wanted to focus this analysis on the very high term time frames, because we have a new monthly, a new quarterly, and a new semi-annual closure, all to analysize. Might even get in a little bit into the short-term time frame as well, but other than that, I want to once again aggressively shill my Instagram. I've been posting just very short form updates on the Bitcoin stories there, and then also of course other content as well. So it may or may not be for you, but if it is, then you are of course invited to click on the link in the description below. Yeah, we'll say it like that. Anyways, other than that, I wanted to bring up once again the new poll feature on the Krown Chain application right here, because we're gonna have a lot of fun with this. Actually, as you can see, we have a new question: will Bitcoin close this month red or green? Right now, red is definitely winning, which is rather interesting. We also have a poll for exchanges, and then also is 17,500 at the bottom. Probably not, but we're gonna be discussing that today. And yeah, let's just jump into it right now. Let's start off with the most important thing, or maybe not the most important thing, but in terms of timing this next macro low, I think this is the most important thing. At least it has the best history that I can find of anything to kind of time something of that nature. And it is the accumulation distribution indicator chart right here. So what do you need to know about this? Well, for the purposes of this explanation, what you need to know is this green horizontal bar that my cursor is currently on right now. All of the times that we have seen this indicator come down to this level has actually marked the actual low for Bitcoin. Now, here's the thing. We don't actually see Bitcoin turn up and actually gain a nice move to the upside until at minimum we see the accumulation distribution indicator get a positive slope of below that extreme. But ultimately, it's a good indication that, Bitcoin is essentially at the low or very close to the low, historically speaking. So what I've done here is I've gone ahead and marked these all off. You can look at these yourself, of course. And what's very sobering about this, we're nowhere fucking near. We're nowhere fucking near. So is the low in? Very unlikely. Is the low in terms of like time distance? Probably unlikely as well. If I had to guess, I think this would at soonest happen September. That's like, I think, best case scenario for the low actually being in. And again, that's not saying that things just like go green dildo to the moon mode after that. No, it's probably going to be something like this, where Bitcoin spends a long time going sideways and then, sorting itself out. We see this over here. We see this over here. We see this over here as well. These, these are monthlies right here. So this is like more than half a year after the low is actually hit. Obviously, the Rona dump over here, a bit different because it was a bit of a black swan, so things operated relatively fast, but I suspect that this one could be rather long, probably longer than the past two, to be fair, simply because, this is a more matured market in comparison to the last, I guess we're going back almost 10 years now to 2014, close to 10 years, about 8 years now. Until there's more market participants, meaning that you need to essentially shake out more and more people. So with that in mind, there's your positive message of the day. What I've also done here is I've done a statistical analysis of the percentage drops from when the indicator itself turns red. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking a measurement of when the accumulation distribution indicator turns red, and then that level on price to basically the low. And what we found is that there's an average correction crash is the proper word, from that level turning red to the next macro low of about 61.34%, which we can map out over here. That would put Bitcoin just below 16,000 bucks or so. And of course, this is an average. There's going to be some that are a little bit higher, some that are a little bit lower. I highly doubt it'll be literally just on the average, but just kind of like, put it into perspective, like low teens is very reasonable, perhaps long term here. Anyways, and again, this is all long term. Other than that, I wanted to point out this chart over here. This is the monthly stochastic momentum oscillator chart, of which, yeah, it's come down quite a fair bit, but it still hasn't turned up. And by the way, all of the times when it has turned up, if I can find a good chart of it, do I have it over here? No, maybe this one. Also, no. Okay, 0 for fucking 3. Anyways, you can just take my word for it, or fuck it. Should we just do it together? Should we just do it together? Let's just do it. God damn it. I don't want to delete this chart. Okay. If you look at when the stochastic momentum oscillator turns the upside from these extreme lows, it marks all major macro bottoms as well. There we go. All right. So you got one over here. You got one over here. You got one over here. You got one over here even. And obviously we do not have one here, so that would imply that Bitcoin is still yet to find the actual low. The fun thing about this indicator, or maybe not so fun, depending upon how, well, depending upon your disposition, is anytime I laugh on one of these videos, by the way, there's always like a few comments like, "What the fuck, man? You're laughing? You're gonna laugh? What the fuck, man? Unsubbed." It's like, okay, thanks. Thank you for letting me know, sir. Look, we're traders here. We don't care if it actually goes up or down, but it is just easier when it goes up. Anyways, the fun thing about this is that monthly stochastic momentum also are not turning up anytime soon, barring this month closure. So that's going to be July above 37,400. I'll tell you why that's quite unlikely to happen. And it comes to this chart over here. The quarterly. No, this is, oh, we're not even there yet. We haven't even got there yet, baby. I'm talking about the quarterly over here. Quarterly, I do believe that the highest we'll see this quarter, like literally the next 3 months, into, I guess, end of September, is probably somewhere around like wherever the 9 is right here, which is like below 30,000 bucks. Currently speaking, about 29,000 bucks. So I do think that that's best case scenario in these next 3 months here. You know, obviously we had quarterly bearish divergence. You know, at some point we'll have hidden bullish divergence on the next low, but that can obviously trade lower. So, you know, does July try for a bounce? Probably. I mean, if it is going to happen, probably does happen now. A lot of these signals that I've been looking at and posturing over for the past like week and a half to 2 weeks here, those are still, you know, going to be viable at some point. They haven't been validated just yet. In fact, we'll go over a validation condition at the end of this video. But before that, I do want to follow up on the 6-month chart as well, the semi-annual chart, a little bit more of a sobering tone as well, as I learned that that's the proper way to be saying that. Bearish divergence right here, yeah, it's a little bit too new to really be putting, you know, full weight on that or really much weight at all, but technical target for that typically going to be somewhere down around here, which would be like, you know, perhaps as low as like 8,000-9,000, perhaps as high as about 12,000-13,000. Obviously, it's a very, very long-term chart here. So I do think that best case scenario long-term is something like this where, oh, Jesus, I can't even get that. But basically, you know, a wick down and then like, and then a closure back above, you know, end of year, like 20,000-ish, let's say. Other than that, I did also want to point out that the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement on the macro scale here is in that 15,000 range. So that kind of correlates well to the accumulation distribution indicator average drawdown chart over here, kind of in the same regions. And then also the 618 is about 10,500 bucks. So, you know, we do see some numbers come in these regions as well. Although again, when we're looking at very, very long-term price action analysis like this, you know, it's when we're looking at very, very higher term timeframes like this, there's going to be a good margin of error for those numbers. Anyways, other than that, anything else that I want to get into here? Maybe we follow up on the short-term timeframes ever so briefly here. So yesterday we were looking for short-term continuation to the downside somewhere around this blue box territory on CME. It actually just grazed the top end of that, but we also said, hey, probably not going to break down exactly from here, and that's pretty much exactly what we got right here. Problem is, Bitcoin just put another lower high. So I would actually still refrain from looking personally for continuation to new lows in this case, that being about 18,600 or so. For CME specifically. Again, just due to the same chart that I've been looking at over here, as at some point, it's a lot more likely to bounce than not. And the daily stochastic momentum oscillator does have a big pivot here at 19,230. Currently on CME, it's actually trading at a discount, and it is pretty much at that level, 19,275. So, you know, if CME does close above that level by end of day, does Bitcoin open up on a bounce next week? Probably. I would say that that's, you know, a little bit more likely here. But until that condition is fulfilled, you know, that signal is not going to be valid or more importantly, validated. So it doesn't, you know, it just means that it's a potential, but not playable or not relevant, at least as far as I look at things. So, you know, I've been speaking about this a little bit, you know, a little bit further in advance. And I think that kind of gets maybe, what's it called? What's the word that I'm looking for? Maybe mistaken. Maybe I don't do the best job of expressing it myself, but it kind of gets mistaken. It's like, oh, Krown's calling for like a X amount of bounce right now. It's like, no, this needs to happen first, and then that becomes probabilistic from a probability standpoint, of which I think that was about 82% probability, based off of past historical iterations. So, it's still in the cards there. It's just at this exact moment, it is not, it's not valid. So if Bitcoin does close above that level today, that would be a good insight coming into next week. I'd really want to see Monday close above the next pivot level as well for like full, validation. Otherwise you might get something like we saw earlier this week. So other than that, I think that's a good place to kind of leave off on this video. 10 minutes in. Is there anything else that I missed? I forgot the Bybit shill again. Bybit, actually no, Bybit does have a good deal going on right now. They do have 0% maker fees, meaning that you don't pay a fee on limit orders, assuming that you don't get filled at market, for 30 days upon signing with the link in the description below for Bybit. Other than that, yeah, I think it's time for me to sign off. Cool. Instagram shield and all that good stuff. I'll be signing off now. Take care, enjoy your day, and see you hopefully soon.